For decades, London's Dorchester Hotel has been a timeless icon, a palace on Park Lane. Behind these doors is a world of luxury and of glamour. It is here that the wealthy from around the world come together. And it is here, at the age of 26, that a young Tom Booton was given his first opportunity to open a restaurant, The Grill by Tom Booton. Now at 31 years old, with great success, Tom has created a modern British grill, bringing a distinctive style to all of the classic dishes. Today, Tom takes us behind the scenes to have a unique insight and to share his stories behind his success. Welcome to the scene at the Dorchester with Tom Booton. We're here at the Dorchester with Tom Booton of The Grill by Tom Booton at the Dorchester. Tom, thank you for having us in this incredibly opulent, beautiful, palatial space with a lot of history in it. Can you take us through some of the features of the room?
Yeah, so this is the oldest room in the hotel, which is,
Wow.
I think, super, super cool. So the ceiling and the archways behind us, they're all based from when the grill originally opened in 31. And they tried to go down this Spanish grill kind of way. That's why you see a bit of kind of like Spanish influences running. And then we've kept that in the restaurant as well with kind of our day and our night mirrors, which spin. Murano glass is here, which has been in the hotel since the 50s, I believe. There's just everywhere you look, there's details of the history of the hotel. This hotel has so many amazing stories.
And the banquettes as well have...
The bunquettes, yeah, so the bunquettes are, theoretically, they're made from Bentley. So the idea was, this was from Mr. Ducasse. So Mr. Ducasse always said that the most comfiest seat he's ever been in is the back of a Bentley. So the hotel made a little nod from that, and you've got the kind of pull-out middle bit.
Like a Bentley car.
Bentley car, yeah.
Wow.
Which is cool. When you tell people that, it just puts a smile on people's faces. It's just these little tiny touches, and which no one would actually notice until you kind of mentioned it.
And the ceiling is quite beautiful as well.
The ceiling is really nice. There's just so much history and detail into them.
And then when you came in, did you change the space in a certain way as well?
Yeah, it's a very square room, so I knew from a customer point of view, and it's a very tall ceiling, which means it could feel cold. So I knew we had to kind of break the room up somehow, so we brought in the banquettes, we've got the flowers behind us. The chandelier does do a good job of breaking the room up, but only central. So it was about the pudding bar and about trying to drag someone's eye away. But it's a lot of copper, it's very bronze, it's very quite yellow as well. So it's all about trying to put there's so many light bulbs in this room.
It's a very warm feel, and the glow is quite incredible.
Yeah. No, when we do the lighting in here, the lady comes in from the company, and she always tells me, she's found more light bulbs, Just the chandelier itself has 270 light bulbs in it.
Wow. And you've got your name in gold across the front door when you walk in, which is amazing. But so it is incredible to have your own restaurant here at the Dorchester, but I think it would be great to start with it didn't all begin here. Can you take us through your journey of your early years and the path you came on to be here at the Dorchester?
Yeah, so I'm from Colchester, so it's in Essex, so just about an hour and a half away from where we are now. Very humble background, grown up in a council estate. My mum was a nurse, my dad was kind of in the ex-army and stuff. So they were both hard workers. Food wasn't really much to us. Food was just fuel. It wasn't about having delicious food, and I've said many times about my mum and dad's cookery skills, which isn't the best, but it wasn't for them. My mum was working really hard, same as my dad, and they was literally come home. But what we did do as a family is we always sat around the table and spoke about each other's day with my older brother, and we spoke about the day, and my mum was really big on that.
It's quite a pivotal thing, isn't it, to have that, bring everyone together over the day.
Definitely. It's kind of the ending of the pre-ending of the day where you actually talk to each other, which is super important, especially nowadays.
You're at school and you then develop an enjoyment for cooking. How did that come into your life?
Yeah, it was just very simple. It was started off baking some brownies, just at home, and then my mum and dad really promoted it, and one of my mum's friend, Mandy, she was a big supporter of it as well, so I just used to make some brownies every now and then. So my mum said, well, if you want to take this cookery seriously, then go to a beautiful local restaurant called the Toll Booth, which I never heard of before, but it was only about a 15-minute drive away from where I grew up, but we never went there as kids. It wasn't on our radar at all. And then, yeah, I just did 2 weeks work experience there. And then Ian, the chef at the time, was like, we like you, you're all right. I was a very cocky young Essex boy, still am a little bit, but they managed to knock it out of me a bit. And then I used to work Friday nights, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then go back to school on a Monday.
You must have had from your parents a great work ethic. I mean, they both seem like they were working very hard in both their careers.
Yeah.
And it was obviously an example to you of how to get to where you want to get. That seems to be something that's quite pivotal, I think, in your career.
I think in most hospitality career and many other industries as well, but definitely in the chef and the front of house as well. My first chef used to say straight away, what do your parents do?
Really?
And I remember being like a bit of a random question, but actually I understand it now. Ian at the time said, okay, so you're going to finish school in a few months. What do you want to do? Do you want to come full time? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to go to, maybe I could have got into sixth form if I studied a bit harder, but I just saw the money.
Yes.
When he told me how much I was on, even though it wasn't a lot of money looking back at it now, but I wanted that job. For me, I loved the camaraderie of the team. That was my first love in hospitality, was the teamwork. Food was actually something the passion for food came on many years later. The camaraderie, having your own family, you know.
Yes.
Many like our own families.
Yes.
A team is a dysfunctional family,
Yeah.
you know, and we all love each other and hate each other, but that's what I loved about my first few years cooking, and still now as well.
It would have been an interesting time though, because all your friends, I'm sure, were going out drinking, having a good time, and you're working so hard.
Yeah, it was tough. I do remember at the time, I remember saying it to my mum. I remember my mum saying to me, you either work hard now and live your life a little bit later on in your years,
Yes.
or you live your life now going to sixth form, going to university, drinking it and getting up to all sorts of stuff. And then you have to keep working for your rest of your life kind of thing, which of course we still do, but I understood by what she meant by that. It was like, work hard now and enjoy the good moments. We still partied hard, don't get me wrong. It was just on a Sunday night or a Monday night when when the town used to be dead.
So you'll be ready to retire in a couple of years' time, I'm guessing, after all these years of work. You seem to have an amazing list of restaurants that you did tend to work in, working your way up to Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah, not many really. I think I'm 16 years cookery now professionally, and I've only really worked in 5 restaurants. This is my 5th. So that's a big thing as well. I never wanted to swap and change jobs.
Yes.
I didn't want to do 6 months there, a year there. The Toll Booth I did 4 years at. And then I remember my sous chef at the time said to me, if you want to take this seriously, you need to move to London. It was about coming to London, becoming even more professional, taking it more seriously. And at the time, luckily, Aaron used to work at a Berkeley down the road for Gordon at Boxwood, which was my first restaurant I ever ate in London, actually. It was an amazing restaurant. And opposite there was Marcus Wareham. And the head chef at the time was a guy called Alan Williams. And Skez said to me, Aaron, he said, Alan Williams opened his first restaurant in Mayfair. You need to go and work for this guy. You're gonna love him, you know? And then, yeah, I went there in 2012, just won the Michelin star, just worked just under 2 years for him there. And then I remember at the time, someone said to me, if you want to succeed in London, you need to go and work at L'Orchard Pierre because it's a hard kitchen. It's super intense, but it was amazing. So I went there, met Andy, and yeah, kind of fell in love with that. Again, that camaraderie, the teamwork. There's only about 5 of us in the kitchen, but we used to do 60, 70 for lunch, 70, 80 for dinner. It was a hard kitchen. I did 3.5 years there, and I always remember my mum saying to me I used to look like death. Because I was 20, how old was I? Would have been 21. We were working our nuts off. It was super intense, super hard, but we had a good time as well, you know. We still partied hard, but we took our job and our food super serious.
In a kitchen like that, you really learn the artwork, I'm sure, of food.
Yeah, but also it's about speed as well. A lot of my chefs look at me now and say, you're quick at everything you do, but that's where we learned it. We used to time each other. We used to get a box of scallops and we used to put a timer on and make sure we didn't rush it to badly prep them, but it does teach you about speed. Then I did 3.5 years at L'Orchard Pierre and Pied de Terre under Andy McFadden and David Moore, and basically I didn't have a holiday. And David was so nice that he kind of said, okay, Andy, let Tom go, but we'll carry on paying him for a couple of months. Andy said, where do you want to go? And randomly in Selfridges, I bought this book called North, which I just fell in love with this book. It was new Nordic kind of food. Nordic was big at the time and still is now. And I just went over there and worked for free for 2 months. Stayed in an Airbnb under someone's house. And then after Copenhagen, I went to New York for 2 months with my friend Charlie. And we worked in all different restaurants in New York, all for free. We stayed in this really rubbish Airbnb in the middle of Brooklyn. And we were just working for free, just trying to absorb. We were just sponges. We're trying to absorb as much as we can from every different chef. So many amazing chefs in New York. We got offered jobs in New York, but something for me personally, I didn't really like New York. And I realized, wow, I actually really miss London. Like London is, for me, it's one of the best But I came back and then I wanted to go to Copenhagen and then did a month in a restaurant called Studio with Torsten, who was the R&D chef of Noma. And he was just an amazing leader. The way he just spoke to people, the way there was no shouting and fighting. He was big smiles, it was big high fives. It was almost a bit like over gimmicky. Yeah. They used to like do staff briefing and he used to high five everyone.
But still, it's amazing still achieve that at the highest level.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I learned so much from it. And I think my generation of chefs needed to see that because we wanted to make sure that's how we treat our staff and treat our businesses, you know. But then I came back. Then randomly, one of my friends, Josh, said to me, Ollie Deboo's looking for a sous chef at Deboo, the original site. So obviously now he's at Hyde, an amazing chef as well. And then I did just over a year with Ollie as sous chef, which was a great experience to be involved with kind of the pre-opening of Hyde. And Ollie was, even now, he's mostly the only chef who owned his own business. Michelin-starred chef who owned it all, you know. He taught me about council tax, taught me about bin collection and how much it costs, all these things what you're never really taught as a chef, you know, and that's why now I try and implement that into our business here. Obviously we're inside the Dorchester, an amazing, iconic 5-star hotel, but I want my chefs to understand that we are a business as well. Fundamentally, we're a business. So when a punnet of strawberries come in at the moment, my pastry chef counts the strawberries, then we work out how much it costs.
Great.
Because it's so easy to just walk past food, bite it, eat it, bin the stem of it, but actually that's 20p. And if we overcook a ribeye, which it does happen, mistakes happen. I've made many mistakes and I still make mistakes, but I want the chefs to understand you've just cost the business £15 because that beautiful ribeye steak costs money.
And even the wastage, I'm guessing, of what perhaps the people bringing back to the kitchen, what's not being eaten on the plate, and then observing that and go, okay, maybe don't put that on the plate.
Don't put that on the plate, and keep it levels. And we can always try and get better. There's no such thing as, for me, there's no such thing as perfection. Every day has new challenges, but that's why I love this job, because it is that every day you don't know what's going to hit you in the face. You have to be so agile, but keep a smile on your face, make sure the team are as happy as possible, and try and keep it simple.
So then you're in Copenhagen for a while, and then you come
at Deboo for a year and a bit, and then Alan wrote to me, because I always kept in touch with Alan. He was always like my chef dad. And then, I was so happy and proud to be asked to be back as head chef at Alan Williams at the Westbury for him. I love the guy to bits. He's amazing. We still talk to each other all the time for advice. So I was there head chef for just 3 years, I think. Yeah, it was about 3 years head chef, 1 Michelin star, 4 rosettes. We were really pushing. That was kind of my first job of big management. I had a big team of 20 chefs. We had a bigger team of front of house, and it was really about perfection every single day. Tuesday to Saturday every week, then mini covers, tasting menus, all of that. And it was an honour to have that job.
And then I understand that one day, whilst you're working there,
one random day,
the head of the Dorchester walks in and eats one of your meals and says, that's one of the best meals I've ever had. Can I see the chef?
So he was eating with one of our regulars, who's now a regular here as well. And it was a very strong tasting menu. I actually remember every single dish. So I go out, I say, hello, how are you, blah, blah, blah. It happened daily. Of course, you want to be happy with the guest, but I didn't know who it was. And he gave me he said, can I have your card? So I gave him my card. And then literally the next day, he sent me an email being like, do you want to come in for a chat at the Dorchester?
So tell me, what was the dish that you served that night to the head of the Dorchester that then gave you the opportunity to come and have your own restaurant at the Dorchester?
It wasn't as easy as that, but I think one of the dishes he loved was this crab dish, which we used to do, which was, we used to get fresh crabs in, we used to pick them all down, keep the meat nice and chunky. It had an oyster mayonnaise underneath it, if I remember, with some creme fraiche in it. Loads of crab with some cucumber, some pickled mushrooms. And then it was a really intense dashy jelly on top, which we used to put some puffed rice on it for texture. But then out with the bones, we used to reduce the bones right down and make this really intense shellfish kind of bisque. But then with with kuzu, we used to turn them into crackers. And they used to be super intense. And the idea was you used to put it onto the crackers and eat it. And it was refreshing, but you got like umami flavors. And it was a lovely dish. But then he sent me an email the next day saying, do you want to come in for a coffee? So I remember being like, what do they want to talk about? So I just popped in. I think I still came in with my chef jacket with a jumper on top, with my black trousers on and my Birkenstocks on. I just walked through the front door.
Ready to cook.
I was just young, naive, and I was a chef. I just wanted to cook, you know? I wasn't interested in limelight or anything like that. And I came in, sat down, and we just had a good, honest chat. And then that's kind of where the story started.
Yes.
So it took a long time after that for us to actually get here and get open.
And then, I mean, so you ended up here in this magnificent space.
Yeah.
And at that time, who had this restaurant? Who was here then?
So Alan Ducasse had this restaurant as well. They used to run the Freestar, John Philippe, and then they used to run this as well. Lovely.
And so when you come here at the age of 26, which again, I'll keep saying 26, because it is amazing at the age of 26, you had your own restaurant in the Dorchester.
Yeah.
Did you feel ready for it? I mean, obviously, in the sense, obviously you've learnt so much along the way, but then suddenly you're managing, how many staff do you have here now in the team?
So I've got 17 chefs and about 20 front of house, so we're a big team.
That is an enormous amount.
Yeah.
And then obviously you said it along the way, you did learn the finances and had that exposure, but it was like, were you like, okay, I'm ready for this. This is the time to do it.
I didn't think about it. For me, it was just the next bit of my career, the next path. It was quite funny because obviously it was a young chef coming into the hotel, and the teams wanted to really promote that as well. So we did get a big kind of marketing activation from it, which then meant I got trolled quite a bit, which was quite weird. I was getting it quite a lot from hospitality people who were maybe not even at the same level of places I've worked in, were writing to me saying, you're way too young to be a head chef. You don't even know how to cook, you don't know what you're doing. But for me, I always used to giggle. The only thing I had in my head is because I was already 3 years beforehand a head chef and a 1-star.
Yes.
But then I was coming here to an old school grill, trying to make it new, and I was kind of getting slated for what people didn't even know about me or where I'd been.
That is interesting, actually, in the history of the Dorchester. One of your predecessors many years ago,
Anton,
who ran it for the whole of the Dorchester, or the food, started at the age of 27?
I think he was 28, yeah. So Anton Man's an absolute legend. He was actually in a couple of weeks ago for his wife's birthday. He's just an iconic chef. He's the most loveliest man you'll ever meet. He's just a true gentleman. There's nothing else, and an amazing cook.
And when you came in, did you have the vision of like, this is how I could see the menu could be, this is any changes that you'd like to make to the fit out? Did you have that vision early on?
I didn't want to just come here and carry on what we were kind of doing. For me, it was about, okay, let's try and take this to the next level. We asked a lot of people, what does a grill mean to you? And a lot of the answers were overcooked veg with a bit of meat or something, where we wanted to try and create, and this is when I had the idea, why don't we try and create a modern grill? Why don't we be the first person in London to be like, okay, so we're going to nod back to the history, the amazing history, all the amazing 5-star hotels where grills have, and why don't we try and reinterpret it into our own kind of vision, you know, while still keeping it proper cookery, classical cookery, but actually just elevated to that next level a little bit.
So can you take us through some of the dishes that you have here on the menu? I mean, there's some amazing modern versions of the grill that you have.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about some of the dishes that you have now on the menu and the new flavours that you brought with you?
So I guess one of the first dishes was the beef tartare, which we literally made, me and my old head chef Adam literally made it the day before we opened. But I knew I wanted to do a beef tartare, so it's one of my personal favourites.
It is a beautifully presented dish.
Yeah.
But you're also very creative in these beautiful dishes that you present.
People eat with their eyes first, you know, and you have to be aesthetically pleasing. But for me, more importantly, you have to be full of flavour. And for me, the beef tartare is a perfect one because, okay, yeah, it looks quite pretty with the radishes on top, but actually for me, it's packed of flavour because you've got beautiful beef fillet. We make this real spicy ketchup. But the bit what does it for me is the oxtail jelly on top of it.
The stuffed potato, for example.
Yeah.
Which I tried and I was like thinking, oh yeah, I've had a stuffed potato before. No, but it was full of like this beautiful meat inside. I was like, whoa, wait, there's more.
Braised meat, mashed potato on top. We've done them loads of different ways, but that for me is one of my favourite garnishes.
Can we talk about the chips for a second?
They're a nightmare. I don't know who came up with the idea.
Oh my gosh, now I understand it takes 3 days to make chips that you serve with the steak.
Yeah, because the layers of, it's basically a traditional pomana. So I came up with it at the Westbury because I always used to put pomanas on dishes, but then all the off trim, we used to deep fry it and give it to star food. And then I always said, cool, if I ever got like a nice little, and then this happened like a year later, if I ever got a restaurant like this, I'd do them as chips.
Okay, can you take us through the process of the chips? The 3-day chips, let's call them. Yeah,
3-day chips. So the layers of potato, so there's about 70 to 80, we counted once because someone wanted to know, about 70 to 80 layers of potato, cooked in clarified butter, pressed for a good day and a half. You really need to press it. A lot of weight on top of them. Really press them, and then you have to perfectly cut them, which is the hardest thing because I actually can't cut straight. So I never do it.
Especially with a ruler. How do you make
Chip with a ruler. We have a ruler chip in the kitchen, and we've never lost it in 5 years. One of the only things we've never lost because they perfectly have to fit into the pots.
And then for desserts, what do you have?
Yeah, so we've got our, one of the things I wanted to buy straight away when I got here was an ice cream machine. I just love a soft serve. I love a Flake 99. So I knew that I wanted to try and do something different, but still nod to that soft serve. I know my food is quite rich, and we've got better over the years at keeping it more balanced and more vinegars and acidity. But everyone loves soft serve, and you just leave the hotel feeling like you've had a good feed, but you've just real balanced at the end with a lovely, fresh soft serve. We've got a raspberry and cream one at the moment.
Amazing,
and it's
delicious.
just lovely.
As a chef, what does a chef eat? What do you eat?
You don't want
do you go home and go, yeah, I'll have the eye fillet, I'll do the stuffed potato on the side, a bit of the oxtail jelly, and...
No. Well, to be honest, I don't. If I'm off, I'm most probably doing something, so I'm most probably somewhere else. My perfect night is a night in with an Indian takeaway, being with Rachel, watching Gogglebox, to be honest.
Yes.
And we just got a puppy as well, so we're not going out much.
You're extra busy now.
Extra busy, yeah.
And how would you say you have seen the London food scene change over the years here? So you've been working it for so many years now.
Yeah.
It certainly has evolved massively, I would say, during that time. What have you seen, and where do you think it's going as well from here?
I think it just keeps getting better and better, and it's so diverse, London, which is one of the most amazing things about it. You can have a 2-star Michelin, not even just London, the UK, the whole of England is getting...
Countryside's got
Great
amazing.
Britain's amazing now. We've got so many great restaurants outside of London, you know. London isn't just the capital anymore of the food, it's everywhere. From up north, from Scotland to Wales, you've got one of the best restaurants in the country's in Wales, you know, and it has been for the past like 3 years.
How do you think it's going moving forward, the food scene in London and the UK?
I think it will keep getting better and better. I think from a UK chef point of view, colleges are doing such a great job around the UK now, and I try my hardest to go out to all of them just to try and inspire at least one person, and then I feel like my job's done. But we've got a real good chef kind of level, I think, and up-and-coming chefs. For me, the thing I really want to promote now is the front of house.
Yes.
You know, I want to see more British maitre d's. I want to see them really teaching that at college, you know. It's not all about chefing. I always say as a chef, the front of house is more important than the chefs. You can go to a restaurant and have mediocre food, but if you've got good service, you will go back to that restaurant. But if you go to a restaurant and have amazing food and really poor service, you more than likely will never go back to that restaurant.
You have got a very unique manner for a chef. I think traditionally they've been terrifying.
Am I not terrifying?
No, you're not terrifying. Sorry to tell you, it's not coming across well. But you are very good to your staff. I mean, we met you obviously at Royal Ascot a few weeks ago as well, and then seeing you here with your team. You have a great respect for everyone in all the roles they do.
Yeah.
It is very different from the ways that we've seen chefs behave. But
yeah, I think everyone's respect, you know. I think to be a good manager, the first thing you have to do is smile and say hello to everyone.
yes.
I've worked with so many managers who I've seen not even say hello to people, and it drives me mad. First rule of management is smile and say hello to everyone with a big smile, even if you're having a bad day. So as the manager, you have to be a puppet for a minute and actually make sure that the team know you're all going on that same direction, you know. Because I'm not ego at all. No one calls me chef, I'm just Tom. But we know we want to get better, and we know we want to keep building this restaurant and make it better and better. It
does feel like, seeing how much you've achieved so much at this age, that it is going to be a very iconic career in the making. I mean, unless you quit tomorrow and you're like, it's time to retire, which I don't think you are.
Maybe I'll just go to a beach somewhere.
And after a week, you'll be like, okay.
Yeah, that's it. I need one day and then we'll be back into work. No, but the team is what keeps me going.
Yes.
Because it's their careers as well. They're on their paths, and I feel I've got an honour of a job to make sure that they exceed way better than I ever do.